Alright, getting ready to make some vermicompost tea from my worm bin. And it takes about 15 ounces of vermicompost, which this is a ball jar that has a crack in it, so I'm use it for filling up my vermicompost. It's about a 15-ounce jar, so what I will do to harvest it, since I only need a little bit, I'm not going to harvest the whole thing. Few of them running along the top there. What I'll do is I'll move this aside. I just fed them some cabbage leaves and let them all scatter below. They don't like the light, so they're going to try to avoid the light. And so by leaving this bin open and exposed to the light, they should all go deeper into the bedding. And I'll come back in about 30 minutes or an hour or so, and once they've gone deeper into the worm bin, I'll just start harvesting about 15 ounces until I fill this ball jar off the top of it. Once I get that ball jar filled, I'll transfer it to this little mesh bag. You can use nylon stockings. This is actually a hot bag for brewing that I wasn't using, so I'll fill that bag up and I'll stick it in a 5-gallon bucket with a fish bubbler, air stone, and some sugar, and let that set for 24 to 48 hours, and I'll have a vermicompost tea. I'll show you the rest of the process here in a bit. Alright, I have everything ready to make my vermicompost tea. I have a rope to tie my mesh bag up, 15 ounces of vermicompost, a fish bubbler or an air stone bubbler with a couple of air stones attached to it. I like those because they weigh down in the water pretty easy. About a 4-gallon bucket. I didn't have a 5-gallon around anywhere. This one did have paint in it a long time ago, but the paint's dry and I scrubbed it out and everything. You also will need 1 to 2 ounces of brown sugar, molasses, maple syrup, and I've heard honey, but I don't think I would use honey because of the antibiotic properties of it, so I'd stick with sugar, maple syrup, molasses, or something like that. So I'll go ahead and put everything together and put it in the bucket and show you how it works. Alright, have a little over an ounce of brown sugar. I'm just gonna sprinkle into the compost tea here. That sugar will help to feed the microbes. But yeah, they're the air stones. Here is the mesh bag with the worm castings in it. Have a knot around it so nothing falls out. It's tied to the bucket handle with a knot that I can undo later. So it's just hanging there in the water. That will sit in there for 24 to 48 hours and brew up a tea. The sugar will feed the microbes that are in the sack of worm castings. The worm castings are just packed with microbes. So that'll sit in there, and for 24 to 48 hours the sugar will help to feed the microbes. The oxygen will give them oxygen so they can breathe and reproduce. And in 24 to 48 hours we should have a tea that's teeming with microbiology. I'll use that tea to put in a sprayer and I'll spray it on all my plants. The compost tea is said to help prevent disease and prevent pests, and it's a good fertilizer for the foliage of your plants. Scientists don't quite understand how it works, which makes sense to me with all the infinite complexity of all the organisms in the compost tea. It would be pretty hard to pinpoint how each of those individual microbes in the tea is working to help the plant, but we'll spray it on our plants and show you the results hopefully in a month or so.